Happy Easter, everyone. It is Sunday, Easter Sunday, and I am wearing my Aloha Means Love shirt with the whale on it, spouting hearts. That's my happy Easter to everyone. And I wanted to leave a video mostly about grief today. And I had a conversation. It was one of my complimentary grief and loss calls that I do, and powerful conversation and powerful topics came up that I wanted to share. And one is what can come up when the person who's dying, for one, we've got anticipatory grief when someone is dying, and two, if that person was abusive towards us. There's already very complicated emotions that come up around death. But if that's the situation, it's someone, and this was a woman's father, someone who she loves dearly, yet was mistreated and abandoned, emotionally abandoned at times by, and so there was a lot to work with, and the fact that there won't be necessarily any reconciliation or resolution, or her father coming to terms with the fact that he didn't do a great job. Maybe he's acknowledged some of that with her as he ages, but what's difficult in these kinds of situations, I think, it's different for everybody, and we grieve uniquely according to unique situations with unique people, unique relationships. But in this type of situation, if we generalized, the difficulty is that a person dies the way a person lives. So if a person wasn't recognizing or acknowledging how they hurt another during their life, it's unrealistic to expect them to acknowledge it when they're dying, and they likely won't. And yet, sometimes there is reconciliation between people and within relationships when someone's dying. There was, a lot of distance between them. This person got away from the family, rightfully so. She started her own beautiful life and hadn't been in touch with her father very much. And now he's dying, and it was sudden. So there's just a lot. Her way of describing it was scrambled eggs in the brain. Her head's going to explode, anger. And naturally, there would be, wanting to hear the things you didn't hear, the forgiveness, asking for forgiveness, the I'm sorries, the things like this, and then all of a sudden, and it's like we may have these expectations that it's going to happen at some point in life. I know I had that with my mom. I always thought, like, oh, we'll get along later when I get older. And then she died when I was pretty young, so we never had a chance to start getting along well. We fought a lot. And so there's that kind of underlying expectation we might have that, oh, at some point this will be reconciled, even if we're not cognitively, consciously thinking about that. That's kind of there, right? So then this person gets diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. There's no warning. She had no warning. It's pretty sudden, no gradual progression of an illness. And he's in his late 80s, so he's lived a full life, but it hits hard. There's a lot going on within our system to accept, absorb, our nervous system, our emotional body, and especially when there's that complexities of, and she is someone who cares for him very much and has been very good about feeling her emotions and letting them emote, express themselves how they need to, and to him too, conversations with him. And it's a dynamic situation for sure, and she will handle it beautifully. and it's also very uncomfortable right now. And there's not a lot we can do to fix this kind of grief, any kind of grief, but this is, I would say, is like anticipatory grief, grief for lack of reconciliation or acknowledgement from a person, an abuser, that they mistreated us. And there's not always reconciliation. There's not always a pretty bow on top of the end and peace, and yet we do the best we can. And a person dies the way they live. So there's really not often a shift. And sometimes there is, I will say that. People do shift at the end profoundly, but that's probably not a healthy expectation for us to have, is that someone's going to change in their dying days and suddenly be loving and conscious of what their actions were towards others and caring about others. If they were abandoning others' feelings before, they probably won't be too concerned about others' feelings now. And I was really commending her for expressing her feelings and sharing candidly. And another thing I brought up that's important that I want to bring up in this call is, you'd be surprised that one of the things that a person needs to be able to let go of their body and move on to the next when they're dying is actually permission. And it's not always something spoken. It's, sometimes an underlying feeling that's expressed. But once a person who's dying gets the sense from the people around them that they're going to be okay and that it's okay for them to go, that's when they'll go. And it's different for everyone, so this is not a blanket statement, but it's definitely something that I've seen a lot and that comes about a lot in stories of clients when they share with me, is that, wow, they really were kind of waiting for me to say it's okay if you go. They were waiting for my permission. They were waiting to know that I felt truly, sincerely, that I was going to be okay if they died. So I was expressing that to her, and naturally she was expressing to her dad she didn't want him to die. It felt too soon. And no, don't go, dad. And that's a natural emotion. And that's a natural emotion for any of us if we're losing someone close to us. And we all have our various reasons as to why we don't want them to leave us. But the permission thing can really be powerful medicine for the person giving the permission, who's still going to be alive here without this person, and for the person who's dying. I've seen it really help in terms of preventative grief care. That's a statement I've been using a lot lately, is preventative grief care. We have preventative health care and things that we can do for our health that keep us from getting illness and keep us from having to go to the doctor often. But there's also grief care that we can do. We learn it as a skill and we tend to it. And that's one of those things that I feel like can be some preventative grief care, is coming to some acceptance of someone's departure within ourselves so that we can sincerely and authentically express that to the person who's dying, that yes, whatever's your wording and how you truly feel is, I'll be okay without you here. It's going to be hard, but I can do it. I can do this, and you got this. I think I'll end with that. I hope everyone has a beautiful celebration of a day of renewal and rejuvenation and resurrection, all the revives, revision, realization, hopefully. That'd be great.